The Lucasfilm graphics project created two sequences for the movie Star Trek II. First is a retina identification scan of Admiral Kirk's eye. Each frame of this sequence required an entire assembly line of programs. For example, the frame being generated in this animation uses 50 such programs. The source material is a digitized photograph of one of our retinas. The retina ID sequence is a good example of two-dimensional computer graphics. After Kirk successfully passes the eye test it represents, he is allowed to see the so-called Genesis demo videotape. The contents of this tape, which are key to the movie, is the other sequence created by the graphics project. It is edge-of-the-art, three-dimensional computer graphics. We fly toward a dead moon-like planet, shown here in the real-time line drawing form which we used to design the complex camera maneuver. The Genesis bomb, fired from our imaginary spacecraft, impacts where the spike is drawn. Fire spreads from this point to cover the planet as we speed by at 50 to 100,000 miles per hour. It disappears behind the limb of the planet momentarily, then makes a dramatic reappearance close up to engulf the camera. We used a wall to represent the leading edge of this flame. The wall of fire overtakes the camera and forces it toward the mountains which are growing from the now molten surface of the planet. They rise toward the speeding spacecraft. Early on, we actually hit a mountain. The mountains cool from rise, immersing mountain peaks. The atmosphere thickens. As we pull away from the planet, we notice it has become alive and Earth-like. This is the so-called Genesis effect, on which the plot turns. It is a powerful and coveted phenomenon which instantaneously transforms death into life. To convey the notion of the Genesis effect, we chose to use the visual language of a planetary flyby. Each frame of the line drawing is broken down into its component parts. A special program is used to render each of these elements in full color. The completed elements are then combined under computer control as shown here. Notice that there are no jagged edges or matte lines. The compositing is perfect. A later frame is generated similarly. In this case, one element is an atmosphere acquired during the transformation. Another is the fractal mountains. The fractal technique is a form of controlled randomness which adds a natural-like complexity to simulated scenes. Here is the Genesis demo, as shown Kirk. The stars have their proper color and magnitude and are as seen from the nearby solar system of the star Epsilon Indi. Watch for motion blur of the stars. The planet's surface in this long shot was hand-painted using a computer painting program. The Big Dipper, coming into view at bottom left, has an extra star in it. It's our sun, as seen from Epsilon Indi.
It might help my analysis if I knew what Genesis was, beyond the biblical reference.
The Genesis effect is probably the first time that 3D CG work or computer graphics work was used in a motion picture.
Fascinating.
The Genesis effect was Ed Catmull basically running that whole show and all of his guys working under Jim Valou.
Through most of our careers, the entire entertainment industry was not at all interested in computer graphics. So we wanted people to see what we did. We wanted them to get excited about it.
ILM next door one day came to us and said, hey, we got this little problem. They want to show this Genesis thing, and they need a demonstration story way to do that. We thought of putting some rock in a microwave oven and having it turn into a flower, and everybody thought that was really lame. So they said, can you think of something else? So I went off and thought about it. Basically, the idea was a planetary flyby, where we can turn a whole planet from a dead planet to a live planet.
This was the piece where you had this big minute-long sequence, full computer graphics, really opening up people's eyes, the potential that was there.